In the previous episode, Mathilde and I spoke about how people often underestimate their move to France in terms of emotions, and how her and her company, Happy in France, help people make that move. Today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about how actually building a life and having a life project is actually the best solution. Mathilde, nice to see you again. And we're going to talk a little bit more about life project, which is a phrase I love. Tell us a bit more about it.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me again. Life project is a word, an expression I love to use. Like you said, a preparation, moving into a new country as a professional or retiree requires anticipation, preparation, and adaptation once you're here. Preparing a life project is quite large, right? What's a life project? It's something that will keep you busy. What will fulfill you, because the idea is to feel satisfied, fulfilled, and happy in your life. Hence the name of the company, Happy in France. It's a holistic approach. And what makes people happy is different. You know, we're different individuals. So every source of fulfillment will be different regarding the person. So it's all about, knowing what you want and formalizing a life project to be happy here in France.
When you see people that are moving to France who don't have a life project as such, how do you help them?
I do help them on several levels. What is a life project? Is a project, a program, activities that will help you fulfill your days. The idea is to be happy in France. How can you be happy in France? It can be, developing a group of people, a network. It can be by volunteering. The importance, what I help people do is gain some new skills, and knowing themselves better to understand what can satisfy them, what can make them happy. Hence the name of the company, Happy in France. And every person is different on that matter, Maybe some people just enjoy meeting new people, or they're doing sports or traveling around the country. And France has so many to offer, so many options in terms of tourism. So we identify, who they are, what their needs are, what people like doing and don't like doing, and formalize it into a life project.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is if people are moving to France for work, for their job, that's going to take up a big portion of their day. And outside of that, there's going to be hobbies and interests. But if you're moving to France for retirement, there's an awful lot of your day you need to fill. And I like what you said about volunteering, hobbies and interests, of course. For us, what's been quite interesting is I have my day filled with work, which is great, and the girls go to school, and my wife has volunteered, and she's been teaching English at the kids' school, and she's met some of the parents and the teachers, and she's got that relationship, and it's been great. I think a lot of people perhaps underestimate how important it is to have those projects. It's not about being productive. It's more about being involved. And for me, I used to play a lot of football in South Africa. And when I arrived, I couldn't find a group to play with. I looked online and I couldn't really see. And so I created one. I set one up myself. And it's been 4.5 years now. I've met some really good friends. I played last night. It was really good. And all different nationalities and all different people who some are in the same boat as me, that they were looking for a group to join for a bit of social, a bit of exercise, a bit of companionship. Do you see that people joining those types of clubs and groups and volunteering, do you see they tend to settle in life in France quicker?
Yes, it definitely helps, Mike. And actually, I went through this myself when I moved back to France, moved to Toulouse. Like I said in the first episode, I'm from the Paris area. So I didn't know anyone in Toulouse. I started working here, and I found the workplace to be not the best place to make friends. And after 6 months of, not having so many friends, I joined a swim club. So, and that's where I met so many great people, and they're my family now. So sports definitely helps, it's,
Yeah.
if it's what you're into. But there are many groups here in France that, for retirees as well, can help make connections. And you said there are many nationalities in your soccer team. It's not necessarily connecting with French people. I think we have so
Yeah.
much enrichment to, learning from each other, from other cultures as well. And I'm not, always saying you need to learn French, you need to connect with French people. Well, you do because you're in France and it's important to know the language. I think it's also a skill, an important skill to have. But as long as you're happy connecting with people, even if it's from all around the world, that's great. So sports club can be artistic activities now, crochet, many different, or knitting. There are so many groups today that you can join and socialize and make social connections with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different stories,
Yeah.
different cultures, different backgrounds, upbringings. We play football together, but then we also socialize, and finding out so many interesting things about their life and how they've ended up in Toulouse. And I think that's been a big part of my life, settling in where we are at the moment. Having the work side of things has been great, and I've been very busy, but also having that social and
Mm.
exercise group that I go to once or twice a week. So perhaps that's an area that I would suggest to people, and no doubt you do, that joining these groups and
Yeah.
clubs and societies and volunteering, it's a big thing to help people settle.
Yes, definitely. And we share something in common, Mike. You and I, we're curious and we want to learn. And I think it's very important when moving into a new country, to open your mind, to not necessarily expect people to come to you, but, go to people, greet them, be curious about them and learn from them. And, here in Happy in France, as a trainer and life coach, I've supported 36 nationalities over the past years. And I'm so happy with it because I learned so much and I get to, understand different cultures. And again, I'm not saying, to all the people I teach or support that French culture is the best. And on the contrary, there are so many differences and rich things about any culture that we enrich each other, and I think it's fascinating. And you find this in the group, and you need to really to connect to people who you get along with. It seems like a very simple notion or a simple fact, but you need to try. Sometimes you'll try a group you won't fit or you won't feel good in, and just try new things, experience things, and you will discover,
Yeah.
yeah, get new
Yeah, my wife tried a running group, and
yeah.
I said to her, in the next town along to where we live, she tried to join a running group. She went 2 or 3 times, and I said, "How are you going to speak to people when you're out of breath and you're running 10 kilometers?" But actually, they all meet up socially afterwards for a drink,
Mm-hmm.
and even those groups that you may not think, okay, I'm going to go and join for exercise, they become good social groups where you meet people.
Yeah.
So when people are here and they're in France, is there anything that you think perhaps don't worry about it so much? It's not that big a deal. It will settle, it will
Mm.
happen. Is there any advice you give to people like that?
Some people can be perfectionist in terms of, speaking French perfectly, or the tendency of French people, when, I mean, even when I address my compatriots, it's to, they frown or they say, "What? I don't understand." And I tell people to, not take things personally, as, it's not necessarily your French, which is not good enough. It's with simple French, you can communicate, and you need to be perseverant a bit. Like, okay, you don't take no for an answer is also some advice I give. But I'd just like to go back to, the activities that people can do. I have the example of this basketball player, professional basketball player, I'm supporting, with language and integration. He asked, I mean, is willing and as to start volunteering here in France. And I thought it was great, that he wanted to do this. It's a great way. So he met so many people. He feels useful. He feels it gives to the community and it gets to improve his French. So for him, that's, 100% score of a good integration. But yeah, it's back to your question. It's really, these difficulties to go past them and don't take everything personally. Be confident.
Yeah.
It's all about confidence again. If you feel confident enough, you will not worry about the image you give or what people think about you. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Keep showing up.
Mm,
Yeah, I think that's the big lesson I've learned is my girls go horse riding here near to where we live, and because they've been in school, they've picked up the language a lot quicker than I have,
mm,
and so I would go there, and at first you think people are a bit standoffish, they're a bit
mm,
sort of we're not going to speak to this English guy.
yeah.
But week after week, I'd turn up and I'd watch and I'd say bonjour. And eventually now some of the
Mm.
parents, we all stand together and we all watch. And yeah, it's really,
Takes
really nice.
time.
And I think,
Mm,
yeah, if there's a bit of advice I would give, it's don't give up.
no.
It's keep showing up every week, keep
Yeah.
saying bonjour and smiling. And one of the bits of advice I read, I think before we arrived, was don't go into a shop or a place without greeting people. It's a
Mm.
simple hello, bonjour, and then, and I
Mhm.
think that's a good bit of advice I got. Sometimes in the UK, you can I don't know, you might be down or feeling glum, the weather, and you walk in and you grab your newspaper and whereas I think life in France is a bit different. People kind of want and expect you to say bonjour and be,
Mhm.
engaging. So I think, yeah, showing up every week is important. People who move to France and their spouse isn't working, um, how do you help those people?
I've supported many women, and originally the concept of Happy in France, well, which was called My French Home, was to help women. I've been in those shoes, of following my husband and having high ambitions as a young person, as a young woman, just graduating. Of okay, I'm going to work as an international blah blah blah, and I couldn't, for visa issues, for personal reasons. I help them, focusing on themselves, again, finding what purpose they can have here, either what do they need, basically, because not every person is similar. Some people need to feel useful. Some people need to stay at home and take care of their kids, and they accept that. It's really important to express out loud and maybe formalize, okay, what the next 3 years will be here, what do you
Yeah,
want to do? I always encourage people, of course, to learn French. But if they can't find a job, if it's volunteering, getting into activities, learning new activities, sharing also their experiences. They can, like your wife, you said, now she's teaching English.
yeah.
It's great. It's a great way to give back and learn and socialize.
Yeah, it's
So,
amazing when we drop the kids off. The other classes that she teaches, the kids come up to her in the morning and say bonjour. The parents wave. She's doing it voluntarily because A, she wants to do it, and
yeah.
B, she really enjoys it. And I think it's been so good for her, and it's her way of perhaps giving a little back because the school has
Hmm.
been great for our girls. And it's really helped her integrate more with the parents and the teachers and the kids,
Yeah.
big smiles on their faces in the morning and, bonjour, and ready for their class to learn about all the English words. Um, yeah, really, really nice. I
Yeah,
think
it's
just going
nice.
back to helping people settle, part of my role as financial planner is to help people settle with their finances.
Mm-hmm.
And that worry of I've worked in the UK all my life or I've worked in America, how does it translate across when I move to France? And it's a bit of, like you say, a bit of confidence, a bit of encouragement, a bit of helping them understand that this is it's not a different planet. It is a different
No.
country with a different culture, but it's not that different as long as
Right.
you prepare and as long as you have that open-mindedness. I
Mhm.
think for me as the financial guy, talking them through, you'll be fine. Again, a couple I chatted to earlier this week. Do we have enough? That's often
Mm.
a question I get asked. Do we have enough to
Right.
retire? Do we have enough to live on? And just helping them see and realize, and we can put numbers on spreadsheets, but at the end of the day, having someone at the end of a phone or on a Teams call, or having that reassurance, and I
Mhm.
suppose that's mirrored in a way in the service that you provide to people, is the reassurance, the guidance. And yeah, I think more people need to know about yourself, your company, and the services that you do. So yeah, it's been really interesting chatting
Thank you,
today.
Mike.
Any
Mhm.
final thoughts before I let you go?
Just, if I can address everyone, it's just, do not worry. You can do this on your own or be supported by experts like us. And it's be confident. I really believe that self-confidence, and don't take things too seriously. Of course, prepare, like you said, Mike, it's important to prepare, financially wise, or, emotionally wise, to this new phase of your life, but also just enjoy, let go, and take things as they come, you know, and don't
Yeah,
hesitate to seek help if needed, because we discuss many issues, but I don't want people to fall into depression, or this the worst case scenario. It doesn't have to be like this. Life in France should be a very happy experience for everyone.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Super. Well, thanks very much for your time today. It's been great chatting to you. And
Thank you,
if
Matt.
people want to get in touch, how do they do that?
Well, thank you again for having me today, Mike. It's always a pleasure chatting with you about these important issues. Uh, you can contact me if you want to discuss your situation in France, whether you're newcomers or maybe you spent a few months here and find yourself a bit isolated or lost. Please contact me by WhatsApp, by phone, or email address. You can find all the information required on my website, happyinfriends.fr. Like we discussed, I can help you on a holistic approach. We can discuss your needs, and whether it's for French language, creation of a life project or professional project to help you through the entrepreneur process, or for cultural coaching, you can call me and I'd be happy to meet and discuss my approach more in detail. Thank you.
Helping people feel less alone and a bit more prepared. Fantastic. Thanks very much again for today. And likewise, if anyone out there is seeking help with their cross-border financial planning, don't hesitate to get in touch. Details are below. And yeah, thanks again, Matilda. It's been great chatting.
Thank you, Mike.